It's time to get sexy, so watch Secular Sexuality Live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTSS and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callsex.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Nonprofits, folks. This is the show where we discuss news and topics of the day from a skeptical humanist perspective. My name is Nate Smith, and I am here with a star-studded cast of skeptical scamps. Oh, whoa. First up...
What are you talking about, Nate? Come on.
Scamps. With a P. First up is the cartoon character with the hips that don't lie. Mr. Mateo, how are you?
Fine, thank you. As I haven't heard that phrase before and I have no idea what it means, I'm just going to answer in Spanish. La tuya, Nate. Thank you so much, sir.
That's like a reference from an artist from your neck of the woods. That's from a Shakira song, you know. Oh, Mateo, when you talk like that, you gotta get in your hair.
You had to sing Shakira. Okay. So
Okay.
you
Moving
think
on.
about me and you think in Shakira. It's good to know that. I will try not to
Absolutely.
wear sexy clothes around you, just in case.
Better not. It's Thursday somewhere. Next up is someone I have not had the pleasure of being on a show with yet. The only man to ever make me question whether John Cleese is my favorite Englishman, Mr. Richard Gilliver. Welcome.
Hello. I had something witty to say, but I've forgotten it, so I'm not going to bother. Hi.
Yeah,
I'm so excited about working with you, Nate, because people have suggested we work together before, and this is the first time we've actually got to do it. So I'm glad to be on the show with you.
I don't know if the nonprofits can handle this wit, so much wit, but let's find out. We may break the internet today. Finally, on my immediate side is the nonprofit most likely to burst out of a broom closet at a right-wing rally to yell, "Critical race theory," sending Proud Boys fleeing in terror. Cynthia McDonald.
Hey, Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I worked hard on that intro for you. I thought it was
did.
pretty great.
I know you did. I approve, and yes, I would. And I don't know if we're 2 minutes in, but I'll reserve what else I was going to say after that because I really don't know if we're 2 minutes in yet. Oh, we are. We're 2 minutes in. I just heard. Yeah, fuck Green Bay. Yes.
All right. You got your fix.
Thank you.
Folks, this show is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government and to promoting positive atheism. Today we are talking about sex trafficking behind the pulpit. We're going to talk about the Rittenhouse and Arbery verdicts. We are going to talk about minor attracted people who aren't clergy. And finally, we're going to touch on why Mark Robinson is still just awful. As with all of our nonprofit shows, links to today's topics and the news we talk about available in the description below. Feel free to pause this video, read that material for yourself. Don't just take our word for it, but make sure you come back and hear our discussion. So, segment the first. I think Mateo's going to take the lead on this one. Mateo, take us away.
Oh yeah, finally I'm starting, and I'm sure you have realized that usually whenever I introduce a topic, I have my art in here. I'm not doing that today, because today's topic is awful, and I really mean awful. Please guys, check it. NBC News bring us this, and thank you to Brock the Misanthrope, a member from the ACD Discord server who suggested the topic. This is about a megachurch leader who pretends to be the son of God, who has been charged with sex trafficking. And this starts awfully. This is literally the introduction to this topic. To the article. Apollo Carrion Kilboy is close friend of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. He is the leader of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ Church, which claims to have 6 million members. And yeah, this awful story happened in Los Angeles, and it explains how, and I'm quoting again, the leader of a Philippines-based church was charged with having sex with women and underage girls who face threats of eternal damnation if they didn't sleep with him. So once again, guys, here we have this huge way how religion is going to harm people. Religion convinced children that there is a soul and that the soul is in danger. And at the same time, I have talked about this before, how churches want to stop people from educating their children in sexual education. So of course, children have no idea that they have intimate parts that shouldn't be touched by adults, especially by certain priests or pastors. And then this guy, who is a figure of authority, tells them, hey, if you don't let me touch your naked body, you are going to go to hell because you're not obeying God and what religion says. So I really hate these guys. It's awful, and this is one of the many reasons why I think that education is the best way to help people, that sexual education should be is a must that we should have everywhere. And that's why I oppose religion and their influence so much, because religion turns sex into a taboo and therefore turns sex education into something evil. And then you have this type of people doing this. So yeah,
well said.
That was my rant. Nate?
Well said. No, I've long been a proponent of the approach that sex ed is the best way to inoculate your children against sexual abuse. You know, using the actual words for the anatomy, teaching them about consent. It's absolutely super important. I kind of feel like this church that claims to have 6 million members is kind of like 1 million moms that has like 4,000. You know, claims are easy to make. Evidence is hard to come up with. But
that's right.
Cynthia, what do you have to say?
You know, so when I was actually reading this article, I thought of the Bible verse that's Exodus 21:7-8. And this is the New Living Translation, when it says, when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she will not be freed at the end of 6 years as the men are. And then verse 8 says, if she does not satisfy the owner. And as we are familiar with the phrase, do you know your partner in the biblical sense? It's Thursday where Richard is. That means that, yeah, that means that y'all was, bumping uglies. Okay. Then, and if she did not satisfy her owner in all of her duties, including bumping uglies, then he must allow her to be brought back again. But he is not allowed to sell her to foreigners, since he is the one who broke the contract with her. And I saw that when I was reading that verse and also looking at this article, it took me like there to the umpteenth power. This particular pastor uses his position of authority, likes to but pretty much cherry picks, the verses to actually steelman his position concerning being able to exact said authority over these women and girls in order for him to take advantage of them. And I thought it was just like so crazy, like, we are constantly like going over these stories, whether if it was like the Catholic Church or even like other churches where ministers, pastors, church authority leaders are like really using their positions in order for them to sexually exploit members and even children. And it's and like some people are always asking the question, like, well, why does this continuously happen? Like, how is this like people who call themselves men and women of God or what have you feel the notion that they can do such a thing? But there's so many passages, even though I just read one, where I mean, like the Bible actually condones this type of behavior, you know? So, and so like people can actually take like, especially like some of these church leaders to say that I have the absolute right to do this. You know, even though like society doesn't necessarily condone this, and they should not because it's harmful. But I mean, but they can. I mean, even like when you think about like even in the article, it talks about how he recruited women and girls, typically between the ages of 12 to 25 years old, as his pastorals. And he used them as servants. They cooked his meals, they cleaned his house, they massaged him, traveled with him around the world. And he also had them on a night duty. I'm sorry, like he had them on a schedule called night duty.
Night duty.
Right, night duty. And you know what happened that night, okay? Like I said, bumping uglies. You know, I was trying somebody rocking knocking the boots. So if anybody from the 90s remember that song, that's what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, and I just really hate that this whole thing was just happening while he was like sitting up here indoctrinating these women and indoctrinating these girls, threatening them with the possibility of their eternal souls being damned if they did not give themselves to this man, you know, body, mind, and proverbial soul, in order for him to have their way with them. And it's just egregious.
It's awful. I feel like this segment is just going to be, you know, four rants. So let's give Richard a chance to launch into one, because I want to hear this.
Yeah, look, this it's all very well saying, you know, this shit like this in the Bible, that we know this shit like this in the Bible, and we know a lot of people use it to excuse this behavior. I don't particularly think in this case he's citing the Bible to do that. Like, as with many of these kind of independent church leaders, he claims he's got a special relationship with God. He calls himself the appointed son of God. And, you know, he makes claims such as he stopped a major earthquake in the southern Philippines. And in
I love that one.
2019 CNN article, the way he stopped the earthquake was by saying, I said, earthquake, stop. And it stopped. Now, I'm not calling him a liar. I'm not. He may believe wholeheartedly that it caused it to stop. But he seems to be unaware that correlation isn't causation, and simply the act of him stating something and then the thing happening is not him making it stop. But, you know, so is coming from this kind of independent, I am the kind of the leader, I've got this special relationship perspective. And the indictment, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it wasn't just inappropriate behavior with minors that it was undertaking. It was the article says that he took part in conspiracy, sex trafficking of children, sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, marriage fraud, money laundering, cash smuggling, and visa fraud. So this is an all-round shitbag. Let's be right. It's not just someone who's like using the Bible to justify inappropriate behavior. He's just a genuinely bad person.
Well, Richard, let's test this. Okay? Like, because we talk about like approaching these things from like an empirical, skeptical point of view, right? So let's test this. Let's see that if we can say something and it's going to happen because we are invoking the power of God. You ready? Let's do it. Recording, stream, stop. Okay. Cynthia.
You've done it.
Damn it. I'm a prophet. Shit. I got the power, motherfucker.
Give us a He-Man thing. I have the power. Yeah, this for me is like, this is the flip side of purity culture, right? It's purity culture saying God says don't have sex. And then there's the flip side where some equally despicable person is, God says have sex, and actually he says have sex with me specifically, and that's kind of the rub, right? Is when you think that some invisible sky daddy's watching you, and you're so indoctrinated that you believe this, and you want to please this character. This is when this unhealthy shit comes to pass. Mateo, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I just have just another rant against churches in general, specifically Catholic Church, but a lot of churches. I'm sure you know what happened in Australia when Jehovah's Witnesses didn't want to talk about the children being raped inside their church.
Yep.
And I have talked several times about how Protestants have the same problem with their churches. And here I have a list only of the Catholic Church, because for some reason I just wanted to make a quick list of that, starting with in the 60s. Between 1960 and 1980, there was a guy who raped several children. 15 of them talked. 1994, Mother Teresa wrote a letter defending Donald Maguire, a famous pedophile. 2015, the Parole Liberté was created. It was created in 2015. 2015. Sorry. I'm very upset about this. But they were a group of people who wanted to talk about what somebody from a specific school in Rome had, how they had been raped. They realized that children had been raped in France since the 50s. It was public knowledge. Everybody knew about that, at least inside the school. They could use crucifixes to rape children. It's one of the most disgusting things ever. I have also 2018, Pope Francis traveled to Chile and accused the victims of the victims who were raped. He accused them of defamation for daring to speak against the priests. And 3 years ago, 2019, the Catholic Church was investigating in Pennsylvania, and it was discovered that priests over there had abused over 1,000 children over the decades. I mean, 1,000 children.
These stories are all over the place. You know, there's no shortage of this stuff, and
we keep going.
It seems like it's good to shine a light on it, but it's just, it gets so frustrating after a while. But we do need to start wrapping up. So, Richard, what is your final thought on this bastard?
Well, first of all, just touching on what Mateo said, that look, it's not just Christianity. Abuse of women and children goes on in all the world's religions. So let's not just tar Christians with it. It happens in Buddhism, it happens in Hinduism, it happens in Islam. You know, it's not just Christianity, it's religion. And specifically about Christianity, the threat of hell in Christianity has always been used, and it's always been a trauma-inducing event. You only have to ask those who've come out of religion who still hold on to that fear. But there's a special kind of bastard who uses it to make girls and women scared enough to want to sleep with him, to feel like they have to sleep with him. That just shows what kind of man this is, and nothing more needs to be said on that.
Agreed. Yeah, it's not just Christianity. It's almost like sex as a motivator is a big thing for humans, and awful people are going to use it for awful reasons.
Yeah, almost.
That part. That part.
Cynthia?
Yes. Well, I did want to point out one of the things that was stated in the article that I found pretty ironic. There was a quote that said that, and I believe this is from like the Church Legal Council. It said that we are confident and ready to face whatever is hurled against Pastor, I think his is Quiboli, and the kingdom leaders. I think that, the church itself is called Kingdom Church, etc. We trust the process of justice, and we certainly expect the truth to prevail, and the kingdom ministry will continue to prosper. And I wrote this in my notes. I shudder at what the church legal counsel considers as prospering, especially in this particular case. I mean, because like, as you know, you pointed out, Richard, like it's not just for what he was doing to these girls. I mean, like it's for money laundering. It's for, you know, uh he had a nonprofit called the Children's Joy Foundation in the USA, where it was supposed to benefit um poor children in the Philippines. But, you know, Pastor Quiboli, Kaboy Loy, so sorry, hooked on phonics work for me, was using this particular nonprofit to finance his lavish lifestyle. They said like at least about $20 million was sent back to the church in the Philippines between 2014 and 2019, according to an FBI affidavit filed in the previous indictment. So like this guy was like living large while, you know, he was scheduling people for night duties, you know. And yes, it's not just Christianity. It's in a lot of different religions where people in leadership positions and they're considered trusted authorities on said religion use this in order for them to exact harm and control other people. And it's wrong. And I love to see the day where we don't have to cover stuff like this anymore. But it's unfortunately it's prevalent. I mean, we just even talked about last week when we were covering what happened to the New Orleans church diocese that took all that money for FEMA. And the reason why they were able to only give like 1% back is because they were being sued by multiple people for all the sex abuse scandals that was going on in that particular archdiocese alone. So this is a thing that just constantly happens. And you know, until like people actually just say, you know what, enough is enough, and they make their leaders take accountability for their particular actions, we're going to keep on seeing this happening.
Yeah, of course.
No,
Closing thoughts,
terrible.
Mateo.
Yeah, I want to keep my rant, but I will try to make it brief. And one of the things that makes me sick is that people keep supporting the church. I mean, guys, I swear, if the ACA did something that I totally disagree with and I'm totally against, you would never see me here again. Sorry, I could miss you, but yeah, I couldn't be able to be with somebody or with an institution able to do something that I consider awful, disgusting, or that goes against human rights. People know that this happens in all, not all, but they know that this happens in the Catholic Church. They know that the Pope protects pedophiles, and people keep giving their money. I mean, people, don't you feel a little bit guilty about knowing that all that money that you give is being used to defend pedophiles, and instead of helping people, you are just covering criminals? You are helping criminals get away from the punishment that they need. So that always hits me hard.
I don't know how anybody can be Catholic in 2021, especially like
Right.
myself being a Canadian, and the scandals with residential schools, and getting back to what you guys were talking about. We had the Archbishop of Winnipeg saying that the victims were just after money, and that's all they wanted. Like, yeah, they totally wanted to trade away their childhood and conditions of abject poverty, being, you know, raped and ignored and mistreated, and just to come back to you, you know, 40 years later, when you dig up their bones to get money. That's absolutely, it's despicable. It's despicable. But I think we're gonna move on. I think we could all rant about this for another 40 minutes, but apparently we do have other articles to talk about. So because of your viewership, folks, recently, just a few weeks ago, y'all spreading the good news of the faithless nonprofits, and we have broken that ceiling. We have smashed through, like Thor ascending to Asgard, that ceiling of 10,000 subscribers. So if you look around that chat window, we can do fundraisers. This is a big milestone. So We want to thank our veteran subscribers. We want to welcome new folks in, and let's keep this positive atheist fight thing going as we continue the mission of the atheist community of Austin. You get the word out on the nonprofits, subscribe, share the link, share it on your Facebook page, share it on your Twitter. Heck, I don't know, buy a bumper sticker. Get the word out there. But on YouTube, click the like button, set your notifications to on so you will always get a bing when we get a new episode. The machine that goes bing, bing. There's your Monty Python.
Good old Monty Python.
Yeah, we got to get one in every time.
It's not Monty. Yeah, it's not nonprofit without Monty Python, right?
It's always. Don't get me started. I will do a silly walk.
Ooh,
I want to see the silly
yeah,
walk.
we were gonna do that contest where we all like submit a silly walk. We should do that for like the 10K as a reward for our subscribers. We'll all submit a silly walk and we'll have a little montage one week. There's an idea. It's an idea. Also, folks,
that feeling that you get when
I would totally do that. Okay, but if you're not able to catch the show live, don't worry about it. Check out the Atheist Experience Network. It's a YouTube channel. It's a hub. You can find all of the content that the atheist community of Austin shows in podcast form, audio only. So subscribe, tiny.cc/AEN podcasts to listen to the episodes of the nonprofits, the Atheist Experience, secular sexuality. Don't miss a single episode. Oh, I forgot Truth Wanted. How could I forget Truth Wanted with Subjectively Dawn? Evil. How could I do that?
He gonna get you. He's so gonna get you.
He's coming for me. He's coming for me. But we are going to move on to segment number 2. And Madam Cynthia, please take us away.
Yes. Okay. So I kind of teased about this last week when, we are familiar with the most watched trials that happened fairly simultaneously in the United States. Sorry, Richard. And that had to do with Kyle Rittenhouse being exonerated from all of his charges in Wisconsin. As we know, this is the now 18-year-old person that when he was 17 years old, went to a Black Lives Matter protest, and some kerfuffles ensued, and he ended up shooting 3 people and killing 2. And he was acquitted of all charges that were set against him. Versus in Georgia, the Ahmaud Arbery case that dealt with his particular murder, where all 3 of the men who were involved with his murder, they're the McMichaels, and I believe their neighbor, was convicted on all counts of murder. And I did, talk about, yes, clap for that, right? And I did talk about that we were going to discuss this week. And I did mention that, we have legals on the nonprofits, which we do. We're not those people. However, we are interested. And this particular article that we're going to lead this segment into actually does quote, former legal counsels who were very interested and gave their perspectives on these particular cases. This is from The Insider that was written by Aaron Snodgrass, entitled "They're Not Similar. Experts warn against comparing the Kyle Rittenhouse and Ahmaud Arbery cases." So just to give a bit of background, and I don't know if we wanted to, do we have the tweet that we were going to show? And I'll just read it. It says, never forget that this is not an example of the justice system working. Police didn't arrest these men. Prosecutors didn't want them charged. The video wasn't released initially, but it took outrage and pressure to make this happen. And what this particular tweet was referencing is that For the Ahmaud Arbery case, there was a video that was, the person who actually was charged with the McMichaels as well, took the video of them killing him, of murdering him, and it did not. And for a while, I believe that particular incident happened in February. However, it wasn't released until maybe 4 to 5 months later, if I'm not mistaken. So they almost got away with it. And, and it wasn't until it was actually leaked, that, and then outrage happened in the interwebs that, attention was drawn to this. And then eventually the McMichaels and their neighbor got charged. So just to give a summation of this particular article, it was, and I mentioned that it was quoted by 2 former prosecutors who gave their takes on the Kyle Rittenhouse case versus the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And the 2 former prosecutors was named Robert Sanders and Nima Rahmani. And Sanders started by saying that Rittenhouse, then 17, fatally shot 2 men and injured a third during the protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin in August 2020 over the police shooting of a Black man named Jacob Blake. The teenager, now 18 years old, testified that he went downtown amid the unrest to guard a local car dealership at the behest of the business owners and got caught up in the chaos. And throughout the trial, Rittenhouse and his legal team argued the teenager acted in self-defense, shooting 3 people with his AR-15 style rifle to protect his own life amid the growing tension. And quoting specifically that particular counsel person, says that Kyle Rittenhouse was an individual who went to chaos, initiated additional chaos, and then killed people as part of the chaos. Now, going to Georgia, Travis McMichael, age 35, and his father, Gregory McMichael, 65, and his neighbor, William Rhodey Bryan, age 52, all white, were convicted of killing Arbery, a Black man who was jogging, after they followed him through a Georgia neighborhood in a pickup truck in February 2020. Bryan captured a video of the incident on a cell phone, and that then was turned into a local radio station and later published. And the men said Arbery caught their attention because he resembled a man accused, of a string of burglaries in the area. I'm sorry, I'm a little triggered because he resembled a man.
I know, it's the crime of being Black and running.
Yes, it's totally a dog whistle, but we digress. But the police records show only 1 burglary reported in the neighborhood in the 2 months before Arbery's death. It involved a report of a stolen gun from a truck outside of Travis McMichael's home. And Travis McMichael, who fired the fatal shot, said he feared for his life and acted in self-defense, but the almost entirely white Georgia jury was unconvinced. The defendants in the 2 cases also face a disparate charge. Rittenhouse faced charges of first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree intentional homicide, and attempted first-degree intentional homicide for fatally shooting the 2 men and injuring the third. And he was also charged with reckless endangerment of 2 additional men, and the jury acquitted him on all 5 counts. However, the McMichaels and Bryan faced 9 counts related to Arbery's murder. All 3 face 1 count of malice murder, 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of false imprisonment, and 1 count of criminal attempts to commit false imprisonment. And I'm going to go ahead and stop right there because I want to give you guys time to go ahead and chime on in us as legal experts that we have just deemed ourselves to be.
Yeah, we have legal
I mean,
experts,
I'm
but-
no legal expert, but I do listen to a a podcast called Opening Arguments. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, I love
Andrew
that podcast.
Torres.
Mhm.
Andrew
Yeah.
Torres, who's a Harvard educated lawyer,
Mhm.
does absolutely brilliant analysis of this case. And something that he was talking about, he actually talked about the tweet that we just spotlighted a minute ago, and he was talking about the prosecutorial misconduct, because these three people are not the only people that are being charged in relation to this case. And when you say that they almost got away with it, they really did.
Mhm.
The first prosecutor for this case has been charged with a felony in regards to this case.
Wow.
So if I could just give you all a quick synopsis of how critical race theory actually works in 2021. The original district attorney, Jackie Johnson, recused herself from the case because the defendant, the father, the 65-year-old, had actually worked for her and had retired less than a year ago. The phone records have showed that this now convicted murderer called her shortly after the shooting, right? Called the district attorney after murdering this man. I can only imagine how that phone call must have gone. To be like, hey, so I may have, been party to the killing of an unarmed man. Is there anything you can do? So she recuses herself, of course. But before doing so, Johnson, the DA, recommends a substitute, one George Barnhill. However, turns out that Jackie Johnson, the original DA, talked to her suggestion, Barnhill, the night after the murder. The day after that conversation, Barnhill, the new DA, contacts police telling them there are no grounds for arrest. Right? After recusing himself, he again called police and told them, and this is a quote, "These suspects were carrying out a valid citizen's arrest. Arbery grabbed the gun and initiated the fight." This is critical race theory, right? Like, white people are so much more likely to have these kind of connections, and this is how it kind of works. These guys almost got away with it.
Yeah.
They had the old boys club, so to speak. But
Well,
Richard or Mateo, you guys want to chime in?
can I just say something just really quick before you guys
Of,
jump in?
of course.
Because I just wanted to comment really quickly on what you mentioned about these connections. Like, remember, the father was, I believe, former law enforcement. So
He was an investigator for her, yeah.
Yeah, so so that's something to consider why they have these particular connections. Okay.
Yes, but apparently there are other hosts on this show too.
Oh,
So
okay.
one of them, apparently one of you guys wants to contribute to this conversation. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, first of all,
Yeah,
kudos to the guy who leaked the video, because I just realized now that without that guy they could be free. Also, Cynthia said, "Sir Richard, do you think that we get those American cases in Latin America, Cynthia?" Nate, did you watch that in Canada? Anyways, these are two totally different cases because, as you have mentioned, this is a group of guys following an innocent person and murdering this person just because he resembled someone. It's like, oh, come on. At least the other guy, even though we know the other guy, he went to a place where he knew that there was going to be chaos and he brought a freaking military gun. At least he can say that he was trying to defend himself. And one of the guys, the victim that survived, he said that he actually pointed at him with a gun. So
right,
at least there is that.
Yeah.
But this other guy, he was just joking.
Yeah, the only one he didn't kill was the one with the gun.
Yeah, it's so ironic. Yeah. So of course they are totally different cases. Yeah, Richard.
I want to take this in a slightly different direction, and I think I want to concentrate on the article itself. And to me, the article seems to be softening the case against Kyle Rittenhouse It's in every respect. If you go and read the article, will be linked in the description. So if you want to go and read it, do so. But in every respect, it seems to be kind of distant. I don't know whether it's because it was already found innocent by the time the article was released. I don't know why, but it seems to be softening. Everything seems to be a case of, well, this was against him and this was against him. And, you know, I think we've got to take it on its own merit. At the end of the day, regardless of his innocence, there were plenty of opportunity for Kyle Rittenhouse to walk away from this.
Yeah.
The article tells us that the situation was escalating around him. And there must have been plenty of opportunities for him to say, this is getting a bit silly. You know, it's getting a bit out of hand. The whole reason he was there was because someone had got him to defend a car dealership. So at least the people who sent him there knew that there was a potential for this to get violent, for this to get out of hand. And he went there and he's armed with a gun, an AR-15, I think the article said.
Yes.
And it's gone there. Then there were opportunities to walk away. This article, to my mind, when I was reading it, seemed to be like really excusing his behavior and the fact that it didn't. And it mentions at one point that I don't remember exactly what it said, but the judge threw something out because there was some kind of loophole in the law. One of you may be able to give me more information on this. There was a loophole about it not being a short-barreled gun, so therefore it wasn't considered a dangerous weapon.
Yeah,
it killed people. Of course, it was a dangerous weapon.
Exactly. I mean, and that's to me, that was like a very infuriating thing. And because like, even if you like look at like how Kyle Rittenhouse got off, it was just a series of technicalities. You know, the video of him posing with the Proud Boys was thrown out. Part of the video of him actually killing people or at the protests were thrown out. And the judge himself acted more so like a defense attorney than the defense attorneys in some cases. And going back and I don't want to necessarily act as an apologist for the Sanders person specifically, the counsel, but you know, one of the things that they're going to be looking at when these particular cases come up are the laws. And some of the laws when it comes to like, you know, how you handle like gun violence or even like how you even define crime or murder is going to be different from state to state because America is stupid. So when going to the whole portion about it wasn't a short barrel gun because the AR-15 is the barrel in itself is over a foot long. It's technically legal because they can put it into the same aspects of like a hunting rifle. So even though he was 17 years old, he couldn't buy it, but he could possess it because, again, America is stupid in some of the ways that we actually define laws from state to state. But I do agree with you specifically, Richard, like there should be no room to actually even excuse Kyle's behavior. He was in a whole different state, a whole different city. He had no reason to be there, and that's my take on it.
He brought.
Don't get me wrong. At the end of the
fight.
at the end of the day, I understand that he was scared. It's a 17-year-old kid. I'd be scared. I've worked in security before, and I'd be scared if I was in that situation. But at the end of the day, being scared isn't an excuse to gun people down.
Right.
Also, wasn't he scared to cross to another stage to a supposedly violent protest carrying a war weapon? Wasn't he scared back then?
Right.
Yeah, I don't buy his fake crime, his crocodile tears.
Oh no, gosh, no way. The world's smallest violin is playing for you, Mr. Rittenhouse.
Yeah, and how do you claim defense for when you shoot a man 4 times, once in the back for throwing a bag at you? Like, what? like Richard was talking about he had a chance to retreat. Well, what is I think the legal doctrine is called duty to retreat, and again, this is covered by Andrew Torres on the Opening Arguments podcast. But Wisconsin is not a state that has duty to retreat, so that's the problem. I mean, whether or not this verdict was correct or legitimate, whether or not you agree with it, the problem is the laws, right? The problem is the laws surrounding firearms in the United States and self-defense in the United States. You know, like this is just bringing to light, you know, this kid got off potentially legitimately because this is how the laws are structured in the US.
That's right.
Yeah. But we do need to start thinking about moving on. Mateo, did you have any final thoughts for us?
No, I guess, I mean, you must know about this because as a foreigner, I have just seen from the outside, but did this kid get, 18 years old, he's not a kid anymore. Did he get a special lawyer paid by all these groups that were supporting him?
Oh, yeah, he got over $2 million.
Oh, yeah.
Because for what I read, the biggest difference was that Rittenhouse had an awesome lawyer and the other guys had just a regular lawyer, and that made a whole difference. Oh, and the support of the judge, obviously, we talked about that previously. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, they had a prosecutor,
justice,
right? And well, yeah, sadly, he basically got Matlock. But Richard, what do you have to say in conclusion?
Don't ever send a child with a gun to a situation that you know is going to get out of hand. And also, look, at the end of the day, we've got really strict gun laws in Britain. They're really, really strict. You are allowed to own guns, but the laws are really strict around owning guns. If you have strict gun laws, you can still own guns. You can still go hunting like Nate enjoys doing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do it. You can still do that in countries with really, really strict gun laws. What really strict gun laws also do is stop you gunning people down in the street, as in both of these cases.
True. Yeah, here we have strong laws and no school shootings at all.
Cynthia, final thoughts?
Fuck Green Bay.
Fuck Green Bay, as always. As always. And I'll just wrap up by saying I completely agree with Richard. We were talking about this in Facebook there. Canada's very similar. We have very strict gun laws. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to get a gun here. You have to background checks. They call your exes. You have to pass gun handling tests. You have to pass safe storage tests. There's rules against transport. You can't just walk around with a gun. In what other country does a belligerent teenager get to walk around with a military style assault rifle? Like, wake up, America! You're better than this. We're gonna close with that. All right.
Are we really? Are we really? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know, unless you have anything extra to add, Cynthia.
No, fuck Green Bay. Continue.
Okay, all right. Fuck Green Bay. Fuck Green Bay. And
fuck Green Bay.
Fuck Green Bay.
I still don't understand your hatred, so
I was just waiting for Mateo to chime in with a fuck Green Bay, but I don't think we're gonna get one. So we're gonna move on, and we are gonna give you, the audience, a sneak peek at what you may have missed from other ACA shows this past week. Have a look.
You got to get the clothes off, so I'll start taking them off you, and that kind of cues her. Now she's like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna transition smoothly into taking her clothes off, you know?
Joining me today is a special guest, Pico the cat. Pico has not been on camera in a long time, and that's because he likes to get on my equipment and get in the way.
He is working for Seaman Cardona, and he's bringing the highest quality piglet producing products to market.
What do you mean you can? What do you mean you can read minds and raise the dead?
I can put my hands on people, pray on them, speak in tongues, and they come back.
Okay, well, I don't have a dead person to try this out on. I want to know.
You're gonna do the show with like an oxygen mask on?
Yeah.
And we're just gonna have to do it that way.
Damn. I am your father, Dan.
Oh God, no.
Oh, that's amazing. I love the promo reels.
I do
Classic.
too. They
Classic.
are great.
I heard that call on Talk Heathen, I think it was, and man, that was a crazy phone call. So check it out, folks. If you missed that, that was some good content. But we are going to move on, and our next article is about a contentious subject. So I want to preface this conversation with a trigger warning. Who has for anyone who's suffered sexual abuse or abuse of any kind? Maybe you don't want to have a shitty Sunday. Maybe you don't want to hear about this. Maybe fast forward about 15 minutes because we are going to be talking about pedophiles. We're going to be talking about people who are attracted to minors. This article comes to us from Metro, a professor by the name of Alan Walker. Was recently placed on leave, pronouns are they, them, from their job at Dominion University in Virginia. They brought up their book, Minor Attracted People and Their Pursuit of Dignity. And for that, he was placed on leave. So the upshot of what he said is that since people can't control whom they're attracted to, the focus needs to be on differentiating attraction from action, right? There's a difference between thoughts and actions, what you think and what you do. This actually came up on another ACA show that I'm a host of, Secular Sexuality, Thursdays at you can't really see it. But this actually came up. We got a call about this not too long ago, and we have a clip that we want to show you to sort of put this conversation in perspective. Can we get that going?
Ever since I was a young teen, I noticed that as I was getting older, my ability to be attracted to someone of a younger age was still present. And I assume, it's probably because I was abused as a child. And it's kind of like, I've looked at studies that say it's like a cross wiring in the brain. So I guess what I want to talk about is intrusive thoughts and the negative impact they can have on the people that go through them.
Yeah, absolutely. There are all types of different stripes of anxiety that can be caused by trauma, all kinds of different sorts of obsessive thoughts, and they can be incredibly challenging for a lot of people. It's really just another one of those things that can come out of a traumatic experience. And, I think where it gets tricky for a lot of people is where they begin to confuse those things with a legitimate kink or fetish. And so it's important to recognize the difference between like sex and sexuality versus coercion or rape and these different kinds of things. But most of all, I want to just take a moment and recognize that your thoughts, your fantasies, your fears, your dreams, your hopes, your nightmares, those aren't anything that you need to apologize for. Your actions, your words, your behaviors, you're responsible for those to yourself, to your community, to your fellow human. But those thoughts, those things that happen in your head are just thoughts, and they're not necessarily something we can control. Certainly there's opportunity to manage them and to heal from some of those traumatic experiences, but that's not to say that we will ever fully have mastery over our thoughts. And the type of thought policing that people often experience in particularly Christianity can really only serve to make those types of things harder.
Well said, Christy. I highly recommend you guys watch the entire clip. Tanzo Wright, another wonderful ACA volunteer, and myself also got to weigh in on that call. But I want to throw it over to Richard because I feel like Richard hasn't had enough of a platform here today, Richard. So I read your notes, and you had a few interesting things I want to hear you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with what the professor said overall. You know, he echoed pretty much what Christy was saying, that, you know, thoughts are different to action, and having those thoughts is not a judgment on your morality. What I do disagree with the professor on is, and I think this makes the conversation more difficult, is changing the language, trying to insist, because that's what he did. And it wasn't the fact that he suggested or he called these people minor attracted people. It was the fact that he insisted that everybody do that. And that was the bit that really got to me. I think that made the whole subject more controversial. This is a subject that we need to educate people on. We live in a world, unfortunately, where, you know, just someone having these thoughts, and there are a multitude of reasons why people are attracted to children. You know, as the person on the call on secular sexuality said, they believed in themselves. It was because they were abused as a child themselves. There are a multitude of complex reasons why these occur. And unfortunately, we live in a world where as soon as somebody hears that someone is attracted to children, the lynch mobs come out. And we need education around the subject. We need open dialogue about it, to be able to talk about it in an open and honest way. You know, my wife works in special education, and a lot of the children she works with have been abused in lots of different ways. And you know, she works with people who have behavioral problems and things like that. We need to educate people. We need an open conversation. We need to not inflame the subject by using controversial things and insisting people use a certain language. Let everybody have their own say and an open platform. Let's get it out there and have a real conversation surrounding it.
Yeah, and we need to help those who are committed to not acting on those impulses.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Mateo?
Yeah, I just wanted to quote, because this this professor was put in leave because he said, "From my perspective, there is no morality or immorality attached to attraction to anyone, because no one can control who they are attracted to at all," just as Chrissy said. But the second part is what I think he was trying to get to. In other words, it's not who we are attracted to that's either okay or not okay. It's our behavior in responding to that attraction that are either okay or not okay. I have to say, I would never defend a child rapist. That's why I hate the Catholic Church so much, and I keep talking about that. I keep thinking about the first segment. Mm-hmm. But people who have this attraction, sadly, they do have this stigma. And as Richard said, the lynching mob wants to kill them, they despise them and want to hurt them. So I would totally agree with child rapists. Yeah, those guys, fuck them, destroy them.
Yeah,
my facts are earned, guys. Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck those guys. My facts are earned. But somebody who has this attraction and is trying to fight the attraction, that person needs help, and a lot of help. I was trying to search for an example that I couldn't find about a teacher who loved his job, but at the same time was feeling attracted to children. And this teacher asked the government to get the castration, the chemical castration, to stop having those feelings. But I have learned that chemical castration is illegal now because it kind of reduces your life in 50%. It's a huge mess. And this guy ended up cutting his own genitals, and he died. He bled to death because he couldn't live with himself, or he just wanted to get rid of those desires. And here's where I want to I hope people don't think that I want to try to talk about things that could help. I don't know. Okay, I will talk about this. There are specific things. I think I will start with a personal example. Sometimes I have sexual desires, And you know what? After some good masturbation, I don't have those sexual desires. I hope that is the same with most people. And these people, you know what? In the worst case scenario, if I really wanted to have a woman, to be naked with a woman, I guess I could go on the internet and, yeah, maybe risking some STDs and stuff like that, but I could pay for that. A person, a pedophile, or somebody who is going to be attracted to children, they cannot do that. They should and must not do that. So what can we do with those people? How can they cope up with those feelings? Should we allow lolicon, that is a type of drawing of hentai where they represent children, because that is illegal in several places? Should we allow those sex dolls that look like children, because those are also illegal? Could those things actually help these people cope up with this? I don't want to call it perversion, because it's, as you explained to me earlier, it's just another way of kind of sexuality or way of feeling attracted. I don't have enough information about this, so I cannot talk about that. And I have no idea. I don't know if giving these people those things to help them release sexual energy is not a healthy way, but is a way. It's better than have them building up all these sexual desires towards actual children. But once again,
it's kind of like the old right-wing churchy, pornography will lead to all this sexual depravity, and that's just not true. The evidence suggests exactly the opposite. Now, Cynthia, I know this is a very touchy subject for you, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to weigh in here as well.
Yeah. Yes, we discussed that. And I did have like a bunch of statistics concerning child abuse and child sexual abuse specifically, but I decided not to go there because one of the things that I know, that even listening to the conversation, and first I just want to give a shout out to Christy. You handled that call very well, and you really affirmed Josh calling in, and really helped him through something that we knew that was really gripping him at his core, and you did everything right in that call, and so I got to give a shout out to you specifically for that. So Christy, you go.
He did go.
Yeah, you that dude, Christy. So thank you.
Christy is that bitch on secular sexuality. Officially.
Yes.
I liked the other thing that I liked that he said was he gave this guy permission to forgive himself.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not your fault, and you're doing the right thing by refusing to act on it. And one of the things that I said was that it doesn't matter where this comes from. Like it is obviously a crime that anyone is abused or assaulted as a child, but you have to make the choice to make the cycle end with you, right? And as somebody who suffered abuse, I think from my perspective, having suffered physical abuse, it was mandatory that the cycle end with me, because I would never ever want to put my children through anything like that. Right. So I think that's important to touch on too.
Yeah. And I just really just want to say that, like, it's difficult for even any of us on the other side of the fence who may not necessarily have this attraction to separate desire from behavior. Right. Mm-hmm. And especially like you mentioned, Nate, about like being a victim of abuse. I was also a victim of abuse, and a lot of the clients that I work with were victims of abuse as well. Especially in a lot of them were abused sexually, physically, and mentally as children. So this definitely hits at the core for me specifically. But what the answer is, I don't know either. I will say that having spaces to talk about this without judgment is important. and being able to connect to resources where people can really talk about these any of these particular attractions and where they came from is important, especially if they're really seeking to get through it in proper context to healing. And I think that's where my mind is always going to be. I was even having a conversation with one of my clients this afternoon who is now in a new relationship, and she was not in a relationship for a long time because her partner previously was sexually, mentally, and physically abusive. And she has a hard time now with her new relationship because he's not like that. And it's like, I don't know how to take it, Cynthia. And I say, you take it one day at a time, and you tell yourself that you deserve to be loved.
Yeah, that's kind of what Christy was getting at too. That's good advice.
I would like to.
Yeah, we do need to move on, Mateo, but real quick.
Yeah, just I was going to say, do not punish thought crime. Do not punish thought crime. Do punish actions against others based on those thoughts. That was all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think Cynthia touched on a very important point, and that's, imagine if you're one of these lynch mob kind of people. Just imagine that your attraction to a woman of the same age as you is illegal and wrong, and put yourself in their shoes, because it's not always that easy. And at the end of the day, our focus should always absolutely be on preventing child sexual abuse and protecting the victims, and that can only realistically come about through education. These conversations need to be had,
and therapy, please.
Well said.
People, seek out therapy. All kinds of therapy. Just please. Thank you. My final thought.
Agreed. And just to agree with what you said, Cynthia, I don't know what the answer is either, but burying your head in the sand is definitely not it.
That's right.
So we are going to move it along, and we're going to lighten things up with a special announcement, something that's pretty cool. This was an idea brought up at our last monthly meeting by none other than Cynthia McDonald. So, excellent idea. What we're going to start doing for you folks, for our fellow nonprofits there in the audience, is we are going to start sharing the articles that we're going to be talking about this, the coming Sunday. We're going to start sharing those with you guys on the nonprofits Facebook group, so that you guys have a chance to get in there a little bit early. There we go. It is tiny.cc/FBNP. So you guys are going to have a chance to get in there and look at what we're going to talk about. You can read it first and maybe, look into stuff yourself. And again, earlier this show, we talked about an article that was actually suggested by a member of our audience. So yeah, if you guys have stuff that you want to hear us talk about, we want to talk about stuff you want to hear about. So get on our social medias, get on the ACD, get on the Facebook, and feel free to share your ideas, because we will absolutely talk about them, and we will say your name on the show. Imagine the fame. Just imagine. Fame and fortune not guaranteed. Sorry, Andrew Torres, I stole your line. All right. So we're going to move on to segment 4. And Richard, tell us about Mark Robinson.
Earlier on in the show, Nate said that I'd not spoken much, so I'm going to make up for that now, because this is fucking ridiculous. Right?
Perfect. It's your turn, buddy. Go ham. Go ham, buddy.
The article comes from Right Wing Watch and was published on the 22nd of November in this year. And it tells us that Christian nationalist Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, or lieutenants, depending on which continent you're on. Mark Robinson went into an anti-LGBTQ rant while preaching at a Berean Baptist church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Amongst the things he said were...
Amongst his weaponry.
I can't...
That's two.
Stop with Monty Python.
Good job, Nate. Good job.
We're gonna go out and go back in again. No one expects. Okay, I'm sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
Sorry, Richard. Sorry.
Fear, surprise, and ruthless efficiency, and an almost fanatical devotion to the Pope. Right.
Thank you.
You're going to kill Cynthia, guys.
Amongst the things he said, bringing it down. Amongst the things he said were, I can't stand to turn that TV on, and I don't want my grandkids watching that television because I don't want to have to explain to my grandkids why two men are kissing. Fuck off. Oh, maybe they're in love. Maybe they just want a bit of pokey-pokey. Either way, it's not hard to explain. People who like each other like to kiss. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with exposing your grandkids to that? I'd expose all of my children and grandchildren when I get some to that open-heartedly. He also declared, and I don't care what anybody thinks about that. Get mad at me if you want to. Ain't no child got no business seeing two men kiss. I've not got the right accent for this.
I think Cynthia can
ain't no man gonna tell me on the daggum television what you can say, what you can't do, and two men kissing. That's against the Lord. All that homosexuality. Poo on that, I say, going to hell. With the
in that accent.
Yeah,
exactly that.
That right there.
Come on, this guy's an absolute idiot. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm going to help him out with some Bible verses. I told you wouldn't get me to show up on this one, didn't I? you know, he says homosexuality serves no purpose because it was not made by God. I am going to refer Mr. Robinson to Ecclesiastes 3. There is a time for everything and a reason for every activity under the heavens. And Galatians 1:16, for in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. And 1 Timothy 4:4, for everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving. So receive homosexuality with thanksgiving, and God will love you for it. Learn your fucking Bible.
Hallelujah! Come on.
Bam.
And you're right, Richard. Yeah, totally.
I'll open it up to the panel because I've said enough now.
We needed an organ when you was reading the Bible, man. I wish that we had an organ. God damn it, we need somebody cue up a Hammond. I was waiting. Ecclesiastes. Yes. Continue.
Next time, give us a warning so we can have that prepared. Okay,
maybe we'll get it for the promo reel. Maybe that'll make the promo reel. We can get an organ in the background or something. I can speak to this personally. Because my children have seen two men kiss a lot, many times, and it's really not that hard to explain. It's, well, we love each other, right? Yeah. Like it's so easy. Like two of my kids are on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, and they're much happier having three dads and a mom who love them and accept them, and they don't have to lie to themselves. They don't have to hide their identity from Mark Robinson, the Stay Puffed Hate Smello man. Like this, it's so easy. This guy you're just too dumb to figure it out, bud. And the other thing that kills me with these guys is like all of his arguments seem to boil down to trial by combat. It's like, well, if you don't like it, come and fight me. I'll stand to anybody who says blah 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 blah. It's like, dude, you're talking to a room full of people who already agree with you. Like, why don't you try going to like a gay bar or something, announcing that all gay people are evil, blah blah blah, and then challenging everyone there to a fight? Son, you will get fucked up. Anyways, Mateo, what do you have to say?
Oh yeah, my main reaction was when this guy said that straight people were superior because there is a purpose for them and there is no purpose for homosexuality. My question is, how hard is for these idiots to type on Google purpose of homosexuality? For real, literally the first two results are prosociality in a social sex again. Prosociality and sociosexual hypothesis for the evolution of same-sex attraction in humans, where two people, Andrew B. Barrow and Brian Hare from, read we will have the article in the links. They explain how same-sex sexual attraction, I'm going to quote because it's long. In many prosocial mammals, sex has adopted new social functions in context of social bonding, social reinforcement, appeasement, and play. We argue that for humans, the social functions and benefits of sex apply to same sexual behavior as well as heterosexual behavior. As a consequence, they propose a degree of SSA, that is same-sex sexual attraction, that it was selected for in recent human evolution for its non-conceptive social benefits. And the second result is literally Wikipedia, citing a huge amount of animals that exhibit homosexuality and the purpose why they do that. My favorite article that I always use is the one of these penguins that are famous because they keep adopting children. And that is one of the main reasons why their homosexuality is so common in nature. Because when our childless parents, they go and adopt those children. And so, for real, guys, how hard is to type on Google purpose of homosexuality? For real.
Did you know? I've got to interrupt you. Because you mentioned penguins, and I can't contain this. Penguins actually have prostitution.
Yep.
They will swap stones for sex. Stones to protect the young for sex. I just had to get that out there. Sorry, Mateo. It just bursting inside me as soon as you mentioned penguins. I have a penguin fact.
I was going to mention, the geese and swan that had a homosexual, bisexual relationship. It was a polygamy relationship. So yeah, we do know why their homosexuality is common. It's normal, it's regular in so many creatures. So this guy just is breeding hatred from ignorance. And that disgusts me. That just disgusts me. It's awful. It's hatred born from ignorance. 2 seconds typing on Google and you will have hundreds of results telling you why there are homosexuals, either in nature or in humans. It's not that hard, guys. You just have to read, and that's it.
They do read. They do read, and the problem is that they read this. They read the Holy Bible, and they don't read
cherry pick
Google.
They cherry pick the Holy
Bible. That's the problem.
But I was going to even say specifically about Google. I need all y'all motherfuckers to stop Googling shit like going for conspiracies with goddamn vaccines, and you take that shit, and then when it comes to this particular shit that actually give you scientific facts on why it happened, you just want to go la 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 la. Fuck that shit and fuck this guy. You know what? I'm getting so sick and fucking tired of these motherfuckers coming on the goddamn thing every 2 seconds, going on a goddamn tirade from motherfucking homosexuality. Stop that shit. It's nature, goddammit. People are going to be attracted to who the fuck they want to be attracted to, not contracted. We don't want to contract anything. Stay healthy, but I'm just saying, don't do that shit no more. Fuck you, Mark. Get somewhere and get some goddamn business. And that's all the fuck I got to say. And fuck Green Bay.
And I love your rant, Cynthia. I love it totally.
Love it.
Google is like a sat nav. It works fine if you know how to use it with common sense.
But as Dr. Bill Phil says, Richard, that common sense ain't so fucking common. I just had to put fucking in there because it's after 2 minutes and I can fucking do that. God damn it. Shit. These motherfuckers got my goddamn nerves.
I think we're past the 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. We good.
The other thing that we were talking about this before the show, but it's like, does this guy just completely ignore, people who don't want to have children or women who can't have children, right? Like there is no purpose to love. There is no why. It's kind of like asking the question, well, why are we here? That's a really dumb question. How are we here is a really good question. There is no why. Right? There is no purpose.
I can put in a why. You know why we here? The why is whatever the fuck you want it to be. You make your purpose. You make your mission. You do that shit. You make up in your goddamn mind what the fuck you want to do. Okay.
Amen, sister. Amen to that.
I'm so sorry, y'all, but I get tired of that shit. Because like everybody, this particular people like this has these damn straw man arguments concerning how people get into relationships, and all relationships are supposed to result in children. And that's just not the fucking tea. People get together because they fucking want to be together. If they want to have kids, they can have kids. Same gender loving people can have children. Different gender people can have children. And they can have different children in different ways. It's fucking 2021. Get a goddamn clue and get a goddamn idea and stop this bullshit. And again, I'm done. Maybe. Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, like I was saying earlier, Mark Robinson does like to challenge people like it's, outside the bike racks after school. And I was saying earlier, I would gladly fight Mark Robinson. But Cynthia, I don't know, honey. I'd hate to see you go off on this. That might be better. That might be better.
You make me, now that you talk about him telling people to fight him and all of that, one of their rants and things that he says like, hey, if you disagree with me, I'm going to quote again, so open quotation marks, and I don't care what anybody thinks about that. Get mad at me if you want to. You ain't no child got no business seeing two men kiss. If they did, God could have made them that way. He didn't.
He
Once
did.
Again,
he did. God made every damn thing. He got the fucking creator of the whole goddamn universe. He made gay people too. He made transgender people too. He made every motherfucking thing. Fuck is what you talking about, man? I'm so sorry.
Exactly. Yes, that's the point. How is this guy so dense that he's not able to understand something that freaking simple, dude? Life is not that complicated.
Cynthia has stolen the promo reel.
Yeah,
I think
no,
so.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's okay, and that's okay. But it baffles me how people like him just want to completely ignore, like, oh well, it's unnatural. I'm like, well, why then is it observed in so many animal species? Like pretty much everywhere we look, we find it. Like penguins and lions, they don't have the same moral boundaries we do. They don't have churches. They don't have this dogma. There's no sepulcher of Our Lady of the Chili Icebergs. And yet there they are, gay penguins. Like, does your God make the rules or not? Make up your mind, dude.
Shit.
The problem is to people like that, penguins and fucking lions and dogs and all these other creatures that are perfectly naturally homosexual like human beings are not on the same category as human beings because the Bible tells us so. The Bible tells us that we are elevated above them and we're not animals, which is a fucking lot of bullshit. It really
we are animals. We are animals.
You know what?
Human beings are fucking animals. Yes, we are.
Homophobes are going to find more excuses.
Yes, we are.
I remember reading a discussion of some people saying, oh no, but it's not natural. So when somebody presented all the cases how it happens in nature, oh yeah, but you know what? The thing that if animals do it is not right because animals also eat their children or they fuck whatever they find or they kill others. And like, it's like, okay, dude, do you want the natural arguments? Do you want to go against it? What the heck do you want? And yeah, they are just looking for excuses to fit the hatred, and that's it.
Yeah, they're gonna find what they want in the book because the book is it's conflicting. All right, it doesn't make any sense. It just you could read the Bible and probably find good justification for any wacky crackpot shit. They'll make it so.
The doodle crap.
That's the reason why there are so many denominations, and they
I think Aretha Franklin put it really well when she said, "The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so." And I think we are gonna wrap on that. We are almost out of time, folks. So again, social media outlets. We are gonna start sharing our articles, and we are gonna start looking for your guys' suggestions as to what you want to talk about. So you can find most of the nonprofits hosts on the atheist community of Discord. You could go to tiny.cc/ACD Discord. And on Facebook, we'll get that up again, perhaps, tiny.cc/FBNP. That's Foxtrot Bravo November Papa. So get in there. We want to talk about stuff you want to hear about, folks. So contribute. You get your name up in lights. It'll be, maybe we'll have like a new thing where we'll, like, Dan's Patreon of the week, and we'll be like, article of the week. Bee! That'd be cool. And if you would like to support the show, you can do so by becoming a patron at tiny.cc/PatreonNP. Also, if you find yourself shopping on Amazon this holiday season, you can support the atheist community of Austin by going to smile.amazon.com, select the atheist community of Austin as the beneficiary. It doesn't cost you anything, and a tiny fraction of Jeff Bezos's space wealth will come to the ACA and promote our mission of the separation of religion and government. So be sure to use that link to help support the ACA. We really appreciate it. And also give us some feedback. If you like what we're doing, if you like the direction that the show is going, tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell me about my glistening upper lip or Puck's weird head, or get in touch. You can email us at nonprofits@atheist-community.org. I had a lot of fun tonight. What do you guys think?
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, also, please, everybody, try to join the chat, the live chat when we release the episode on Sunday. I love being there and talking with people. It's always awesome. Also, don't forget, Nate, that I have the cutest hair ever, and if you don't agree with that, you're discriminating me. So, yeah, my hair is... Look at this beautiful hair. Come
All
on,
cartoon lives matter. All cartoon lives matter.
How can you say that? Look at this. I'm like... I clean up good, don't I? Come on.
Yes, you do, Nate. Yes, you do. And
Cynthia, you have to decide here. Which hair is better, Nate's or mine?
Oh, how dare you? Okay.
You're going to be the judge?
How dare you? You know what? Here's the thing. Nope. I ain't going to do it, because guess what? I think both of you are cute. How about that? And Richard, guess what? You're damn handsome as well.
No, no, you're lying.
Yeah, Richard. Hello.
No, I'm not.
I think the official result of that episode that we did with Puck and Secularity, where we were trying to solicit the audience to vote for who had the best hair, I think actually Secularity won.
I couldn't agree, because I was buying votes as crazy, and I almost got banned because I was sending too many emoticons or emojis as requested to buy my vote. So I'm pretty sure I bought the election, Nate.
Yeah, voting for yourself doesn't count, Mateo. It has to be other people. You can't be in there telling people to vote for you. That's not fair.
It's not fair, but I can do it. Just saying.
You can do it, but it will not be reflected in my final count. Just saying. Oh. All right, folks.
You're cheating the cheater? Terrible, Nate.
I am correcting the cheater, sir. And we're going to
everybody,
keep it that
I
way.
love
Folks,
you, even if Nate denies my winning. I love everybody.
I do. I deny your legitimacy, sir, and I do not recognize your title. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us this week on the Nonprofits. This was a ton of fun. We're sorry about the bizarre non sequiturs, but we love Cynthia's rants. So if you want to see more of it, come back next week. Thank you very much, folks, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Watch The Atheist Experience live Sundays at 4:30 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTAXP and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callaxp.